Hey guys, what's up? This is Dan here with GrapeVineRecording and welcome to yet another product review video. Today we are going to be looking at the Abbey Road Reverb Plates by Waves. This is yet again another plugin that I've been waiting for so long. Let me just go onto the website so you can see what it says about this plugin. It is the Abbey Road Reverb Plates, state-of-the-art modelling of the four legendary EMT 140 reverb plates housed at Abbey Road Studios and used on recordings by the Beatles and Pink Floyd. I'm sure you can hear in my accent that, yes, one of them bands is very close to my heart, even though I am huge fans of both of them. Of course, growing up in Liverpool, the Beatles were absolutely everywhere in my heritage. So I've grown up listening to the Beatles, and in turn, I've grown up listening to the sound of these reverb plates. And once again, I've been waiting for this plugin to come out, and it's great that it's finally here. It is just a part of the Abbey Road collection. You can buy it separately, of course, but it does come with part of the Abbey Road collection. I think this was the one plugin that the Abbey Road collection was missing. I'm sure, I'm sure that people who own that collection now made up to have this. If you didn't know, I've also got 2 or 3 other product reviews from the Abbey Road collection. I did the J37. The ADT I did also. I don't think the Shep 73 is part of it, but I did one on that as well. So what it is basically a little bit of history. I'm sure you've all heard of Abbey Road Studios. One of the main things that was a big selling point of Abbey Road was the fact that it had, I think it was 3 very natural and very lovely sounding reverb chambers. And the problem with these reverb chambers, although they sounded unbelievable, is that you couldn't really do that much to them to alter the sound. You couldn't really change the decay time, and you couldn't really, artificially change the sound of the room. The room was what it was. And although, again, it was very sought after and very well revered, it was a little bit, of an issue because they couldn't alter the sound. Also, because it was so sought after and that many people wanted to get into there, scheduling was a nightmare for these chambers as well. So in 1957, a German company brought over 4 EMT 140 units. They were used to complement kind of the reverb chambers that were already in there. It also allowed, for easier scheduling and much more control over the reverb sound. So again, these were the first 4 artificial plate reverbs that were installed in the world. So very historic moment. Just very quickly, we're just going to talk a little bit of the history, is that to keep the noise to a minimum, EMI's Central Research Laboratories designed unique hybrid solid-state drive amps for plates A, B, and C. Plate D was fully valve-powered on both drive and output stages, allowing a versatile array of sonic characteristics from warm and dark to lush and smooth. As you can see in the little picture in the back, it's actually there are 4 models that you get in this plugin. These plate reverbs are huge, by the way. They are absolutely monstrous. So to have these sounds in a plugin is very, very good. What I like about this is the document. I know we're starting about documentation. I will get to the sounds. Don't you worry about that. The documentation actually goes quite in depth into the history of these plates. So if you want to go and read up about them, they are great. It is great. Great reading for a history buff. If you're a fan of the Beatles or recording in general, I'm sure you will love that. But let's get into the plugin itself. The way I'm going to do this today, I've actually set up 3 reverb sends, one for drums, one for electric piano, and one for vocals, and I've kind of used 3 different types of reverb as such. 3 different flavors of this plugin. So hopefully you can get a taste of it. I'll also adjust some of these sounds on the fly as well, so you can hear the extent of what this plugin can do. But first of all, the plugin itself. Let's look at the interface, shall we? So, as with basically all plugins, especially the Abbey Road plugins, you have an input and an output section. The input and output can also be linked or unlinked if you wish. So if you hire one up, it'll stay like so. If you unlink it, you can adjust the left and right independently. Let me just fix that. Next of all, you've got the plate selection. So as I say, you've got 4 different sounding plates, A, B, C, and D. They all have different characteristics. You have a damper, which is effectively your reverb time. It goes from below 1 second up to, I think, around 11 seconds. Again, you can see all this in the manual. You have a rudimentary, I guess, EQ. So you've got a treble, boost and cut, and a bass cut. Then you have pre-delay and a dry-wet balance if you want to use it on an insert or you just want to change the effect a little bit. And then this little section, because also, instead of just modeling the sound of the plates, of course, Waves and a lot of other plugin manufacturers do a great job modeling some of these old equipment nowadays. And they've also modeled the input and output amplification stage. So you've got a really nice drive knob, and it also modeled the total harmonic distortion. So you can have the lovely analog sound of it as well, or you can just turn them both off and have a clean version of the sound as well. But if you want, them harmonic characteristics, you can just crank them up a touch. That's basically it. There's one other section which is very important, I guess, if you use this plugin as a stereo plugin, and that's crosstalk. So what that means is if it's all the way to the left, the same signal. Right there. Let me think of the best way of saying it. It's basically how the signal is split up from left and right. So if it's all the way up, I think if it's all the way up, the left and right signals are summed together in both the left and right outputs, if that makes sense. And when it's all the way off, the left signal is like the left output is the left input and the right output is the right input. And then obviously the more that you bring this up, the more them signals start to crosstalk into the other channels. Very nice sound. So let's talk about let's listen to the plugin. That's why we're here. As I say, I've set it up on drums, piano and vocals. We'll start with the drums, and then we will move on to some other things. Please bear with me, because this is actually the second time I've recorded this, so hopefully my settings are back to where they should be. So it's going to be muted first of all, of course, as we always do, and then we will bring it in. I'll hide it up so you can hear the sound of the sound actually pushed up, and then we'll change a couple of things and we'll see what we can get. So here's the drums. I realised that this is probably the best part for the drums, sorry. So let's have a look at the settings on this. So we're using plate D. So remember, that's the all valve plate. The reverb time is extremely low, extremely low. The lowest it can be, actually. The treble's just up a little bit just to help bring the cymbals out. Cut a little bit of the low off. Pre-delay 0 and the drive is up a little bit. So what I'll do, I'll bring it up higher just so you can have, you can hear more of the reverb sound. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to crank the drive a little bit so you can hear what the drive section of this plugin is like. So the drive, I think, is actually lovely, and I think you can get away with it with this type of reverb because it's very low. It's very short in terms of reverb time, so we can afford to push the sound of this reverb higher in the mix because obviously it doesn't take up as much of the spectrum moving down the line because of the shorter tail, and also it kind of allows you to push that drive a little bit more because it's such a short sound. You can actually push these elements a little bit further because of it won't last that long in the ears as such. So So you can keep it really low like this and try and just use it as a little bit of ambience. But I think it really starts coming out when you just push it that little bit higher. And I think as a very short ambient reverb, I think it's perfect. You know, things like drums love that kind of thing, or like acoustic guitars, stuff like that. It just adds that little bit of a room sound behind the kit, and I think it's absolutely lovely for that. Some reverbs just can't get that sound that easy, I find. So to be able to just dial it up so quickly and it sound good, I'm very, very happy with that. So this one is kind of, I guess, a mid sound. The reverb is kind of around 5 seconds long, and we are looking at plate selection C. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on plate selection A, because this plugin comes with a load of presets, as you can probably imagine. And this keys thickener medium was actually set to plate A. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is because when I recorded this video before, I was changing the plate selected, and when it went to C, it just started singing. Like it just sounded amazing. So I just want to kind of show you the differences in plate sounds. Sorry, so first of all, it's just that the keys on their own. There's already a little bit of reverb in there. So this, I wanted that kind of warm embellishing of the keys. No, the keys aren't very high frequency anyway. There isn't a lot of high frequency content in there. It's not that clicky or anything like that. So I just wanted to kind of just put a sound in there that'll, you know, just make it a little bit more washy and kind of push it back a touch. And I think this is great for that. That was plate A. As I say, it's around 5 seconds. There's nothing on the EQ, and there's only a 15 millisecond pre-delay, just to kind of split it up a touch. But then, so let me just push it up higher, and then I'm going to just move through the plates so you can have a listen to the different plate sounds. But just when it got to C, I just thought, it just sounds unreal. I think D's got such a like denser sound, probably due to the all valve stages. Just C, I don't know what it is, but that sound that I was describing to you, that washiness, just it is that. That was exactly what I want. Just listen. It just does something with that piano, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, as you know, each plate is different. You know, there's different components in each of them, so you are getting different sounds. Although on the face of it, they all are doing the same thing. They just do it in such different ways, and the whole point of this is to be able to model them 4 distinct sounds and to be able to pick and choose. And not many people were able to do that, and I think that's what's great nowadays with companies like Waves, where they can do that. They can take all of the $1 million sounds and give you them, and I love it. Right, so we're going to move one step further. We're going to look at the vocals. This is the last thing we're going to look at. With the vocals, once again, I've kind of pushed it further still. So we're going to plate A on this one, and we're also going to be looking at an extremely long reverb tail. So as you can see here, there's a little bit more of a pre-delay, touch of drive, touch of treble, but look at the damper, it's all the way up as high as it can be. Once again, we're going to do the same thing, play a little bit without and then bring it in. The darkest... Once again, I'm very sorry about my singing and my playing, it's just, it's all I've got. The darkest night
is awash with light. We never stray where our home's not in sight. The underpass is where two boys straight the path.
Okay, so with this one, once again, as I say, that longer decay is something that you'd have to just be a little bit careful of, usually, you know, with your effect sends, just because, of course, it gets a little bit washy and things will get a little bit less clear because that reverb is still playing in the background. But one thing I love about this, right, is that although that's a 10-second reverb, it could possibly be a higher, an actual longer reverb than that. It's just the decay. The decay just doesn't seem that long. Yeah, what I'll do, I'll stop it abruptly, and it kind of cuts off quite quickly, and yeah.
The dark.
So that's a 10-second reverb, bear in mind. So it kind of, you can do that, you can push it that little bit further and not really worry about it, because obviously it's a plate, you know, this is how plate reverbs work, of course. But at first I was like, oh, I can't put a 10-second reverb on a vocal. But you can get away with it, which is phenomenal. So as I say, I do want to kind of show more of this off, but it doesn't, you just can't really, because it's all down to the program material. You know, if you work in dance music, you might not want this, you know. If you work in more ambient stuff, you might not want this. If you work in classic rock, this might be perfect for you. But I love it. I do love it. I think, as I say, this is something that I've been waiting for a good while. Although I'm not really that much music producer or engineer anymore, I've switched, as you all know, to sound design for post-production. I don't feel like this ruins it. I don't feel like this is now unusable to me, because you think that in sound design or in post-production, you try and match the reverb to the space that you're in. I think this would be a perfect reverb for, you know, more processed sounds. You know, if you want to, you know, if you're working on a sci-fi, or, you know, you're using something where you need a reverb, not necessarily to put that sound in a space, but just to, you know, add an effect to that sound. I think this is so usable for that, because of the way the reverb time is, and just the natural tone of these plates are just phenomenal. And I think whoever modeled them have done a wonderful, wonderful job. They really have. But yeah, I'm sorry, like, some parts of this video might seem a little bit stagnant, I think, and it's only just because I've, like, literally, like, just before I recorded this, I recorded another one exactly like this, so it's a little bit confusing, because I may have spoke about stuff in that I haven't in this, so I do apologise for that. It won't happen again. Hopefully this has been a little bit of an insight into, you know, what these plugins can be. Remember, you know, you can always go onto the website, download the trial. All the links will be in the description to the manual and stuff like that, if you want to go and read up a little bit. But yeah, I hope this video has been useful. As I say, I want to try and put more sound examples. That was kind of an issue in the last video, so I do apologise for that. Speaking of the last video, the last two videos that I've done have been received extremely well, and I just want to thank you for that. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. And hopefully, you know, I'll be able to do more and more of these in the future. But this has been Dan with GrapeVineRecording. Thank you all for joining me. Hopefully you've learned a little bit. Please leave any comments or creative criticisms in the comments below. Remember to share the channel, to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And yeah, I'll see you all very soon. You all take it easy. Goodbye.